生活方式网络，就是这个 Conscious Fashion and Lifestyle Network
and a lifestyle network.
那所以呢
And this means that they have confirmed that fashion should be able to develop sustainably. And it also confirmed that fashion should not bring better or bigger pollution to environment. The sales and farming of fur is not necessary. Against the backdrop of COVID-19, we see a lot of infected minks being killed in the Western countries, which also showed how animal welfare, environmental protection, and human health must be connected. This is also showing the importance of One Health, which was suggested by WHO. We really like the attitude shown by the Chongqing municipal government and Nanbing area departments and the local government directors. We hope to continue to bring you the fur-free fashion in Chongqing and connect with international trends. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Pei Su, for your sharing. And I believe the entire Act Asia in our path of life care education, fur-free is one of the major agendas under that bigger umbrella. And against that backdrop, not only a lot of those animal agendas are included, but also including the other materials that we may use and the process in which generates pollution to our environment and affects our own life being. Well, now let's move our eyes back to Chongqing. Now let's give the floor to Director Zhang Peng from Chongqing Nan'an District Construction and Development Center. Mr. Zhang Peng, Director Zhang Peng, please. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, dear guests, good afternoon. Today is a very special day. In Nanbing Road of Chongqing City, we are honored to gather here together to picture a future in which human and nature coexist harmoniously and protects wildlife, the most fashionable, most advanced environmental theories. It's a day for that. And here, on behalf of the Nanbing Road Construction and Development Center, I would like to say thank you to the CBC GDF and Acta Asia and Super Zoo and all of the participants of today's forum. Thank you very much for coming, and my warmest welcome to all of you. As we all know, on the 12th of October this year, President Xi, in the COP15 Biodiversity Convention, he said to build 3 ideas of building beautiful homes. One is to build a planet of home where human and nature can coexist harmoniously. And secondly, environmental protection and economy should go hand in hand. Thirdly, all nations in the world must work together to build a better planet for all of us. We believe this is a high piece of article and a speech and showing 3 different aspects which are all important in building a common community in which we all share the same interest of all humankind. Hereby, we'd like to make a promise that in the future, we are going to continue to hold high the flag of eco-civilization, to respect, protect, adapt, and respect the nature. And also, I would like to work together with all of designers, artists, and guests here today to work tirelessly together to build a beautiful home with human and nature can coexist harmoniously. I sincerely hope our 7th International Sustainable Fur-Free Fashion Festival a grand success. Thank you all. Thank you. Thank you very much. Mr. Director Zhang Peng from Nanbing Road Construction and Development Center. Now let's give the floor to Ms. Rihanna Mogul, Director of Arts from British Council in China, Counselor of Cultural and Education Section of British Embassy.
Thank you very much. My Chinese is good English for today. May I start by thanking all of you for attending this forum, and I'd also like to thank Pei and Dawn for inviting me here to be with you today. It is great to see this edition of the forum happening here in Chongqing and helping to inspire people here in Southwest China to consider their role in relation to the animal kingdom and living in harmony with nature. Many of you will know that the British Council, we strive to support people from all walks of life to enjoy and engage with the diversity, depth, and breadth of UK arts and culture. We work hard to support work that explores global challenges of our time, like, for example, humans' relationship with the natural environment. During the peak of the pandemic in Europe, British artist David said, "We have lost touch with nature, rather foolishly, as we are part of it, not outside it. This will in time be over, and then what? What have we learned?" David makes an important point. As human beings, we have for too long behaved as though the wealth of the world's natural resources belong to us. And we have perhaps forgotten that we are part of nature. And our human nature has created an imbalance in the natural rhythm of the world. To be part of nature, we must learn to live within the laws of nature and to act with compassion and responsibility. ACT Asia has been pioneering in its approach to engaging people in a dialogue about the need to respect the animal kingdom. They are a small team that knows how to build partnerships, and they know how to bring the best thinkers and advocates together to encourage strategic and sustainable change. This is why their work has been recognized by 2 awards from the United Nations. ACT Asia have developed an online course to encourage fashion and textile designers to understand the facts related to the production of fur. And they have worked tirelessly to undertake research and to convene like-minded people and organizations to share knowledge and to work together towards alternative, cruelty-free, cleaner, and greener choices. I'm sure we will be immersed in some very informative conversations during this forum. And I'm certain the art exhibition will also offer powerful stimulus and motivation to encourage reflection and, I hope, positive action. I'd like to congratulate ACT Asia and the Zoo Group, the artists and everyone involved in making this forum and exhibition happen today. Thank you.
Thank you. 谢谢 Rihanna 给我们的分享，我觉得是非常感动的，因为对于我们
I'm quite moved on this topic and your speech, how we view this nature and view the world between nature and humanity. And now, let's give floor to John from the Department of International Trade and to the British Consulate. Welcome, John.
Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, yes.
Great. All right. So good morning, or good afternoon, all. As mentioned, John from the UK Department for International Trade's retail team. It's great to join today in support of ACT Asia and all of the educational work they do in sustainable fashion. So thank you for the invite. I'll just start by saying the transition to fur-free for businesses is becoming increasingly important. And whilst we have a big focus on trade at DIT, this topic is something that cuts across a lot of the work we do. The UK's position on clean growth and sustainability, as well as British businesses. My roles at DIT, my roles before DIT have been in the fashion industry. And we've seen firsthand now, we've all seen firsthand now for a while, more and more brands moving away from fur, with a lot of the big players taking this stance. The development and availability of alternative materials have come a long way, and consumers have much more choice now, which is great. I think it's a good reflection of modern thinking, significant changes, not just in fashion, but across retail, and importantly, showed consumer purchase preferences heading in the right direction. The UK is a leader on clean growth, and as known, will host the COP26 UN climate conference in 2 weeks. It will be the biggest summit the UK has organized, with nature, action for climate, people, and planet being some of the key pillars. Fur is, of course, linked to this and has impact on the environment. So alongside COP15, UN Biodiversity Conference, this will be a great time for the UK and China to engage, collaborate on tackling harms of the fur industry, and more widely working towards global climate change goals. I think there are many opportunities for the UK and China to work together here, from policy, new technology, to knowledge sharing and sustainability. We would love to see more cooperation in the future. We both have ambitious targets to hit, and the UK is constantly working towards climate change, with becoming fur-free one of the challenges. However, as more businesses adopt greener alternatives, we will continue to see positive change, and with collective action can make a difference. So do reach out with any thoughts, activities to collaborate. It would be good to hear about them. Many thanks to everyone attending, all of the partners, and to ACT Asia for running these events, encouraging sustainable fashion. We look forward to seeing it develop. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, John. 好，那我们接下来呢，要邀请我们今天在我们的这个现场
We will
很多人
invite
刚刚在前面的致辞当中
another
谈到
speaker.
会越来越重视在
We
文
will
化间
value
所有动物之间的关系，还有
our
这些
relationship
那或许很多人会疑问
between animals and
这个变化
nature.
为什么
And
大语言
people
是
may
好
wonder
呢，还
that
是不好的
Zoom,
呢？
is it
那
a
我们
good
今
thing
天
or
在
bad
这个地
thing?
方叫 Super
And
Zoom
we are
来
located
邀请
here,
动物园
entitled to
所以
Super
可能
Zoom.
对于动物保护、动物福利
A
各
lot
方
of
面有疑问，
animal
但是其实
welfare
他们有不一样的另
workers
外一
may
个诠释
wonder
角度。
maybe
那我们接着掌声邀
this
请
is a
我们的
place to
Super
hold
的
this
创始人及
event. And now let's give floor to Vincent Li, founder and CEO of Zoom Group, to address us. Distinguished guests, people interested in nature, welcome to Super Zoom. Why we call ourselves a Super Zoom? Because we have a concept that animals are equal to humans. We live on the same planet. From the outer space, we believe that ours is a super zoom. On behalf of the Super Zoom and Zoom Group, I'd like to extend a welcome to you to attend the 7th International Sustainable Free Fashion Festival. And it's a great pleasure to hold this event initiated by ACT Asia and CBCGDF. And we hope this event will influence more people to engage in for free. and become nature interesting people. And this is a concept to hurt no animals. This is a fashionable lifestyle. And we support no fur in our fashion consumption and reject fur usage and call on other people to engage in fur free. We have a lot of events in this forum, including compassionate choices and fur free exhibition and other events. We hope that through these kind of events, we can call on more people to engage in fur free. The group holds business should do more good things and engage in more interesting things, services, activities, and events to promote the harmonious coexistence between man and nature, and towards all the Chinese people to get interested in nature, protect the environment. For foreign initiative is quite related with our brand culture. We actively respond to the initiative and expand the influence. We believe this is our mission. I hope that this event will further our understanding and our actions in protect the nature. And in the future, we can work together with you to take swift actions to protect the environment while pursuing development and build a better home for ourselves. Thank you all. Thank you. Thank you, Vincent Li. And he's willing to protect the animals and to build a harmonious world between man and nature. Now next, we shall give floor to a speaker from CBCGDF, Deputy Secretary General Xiao Qi, please. Distinguished representatives, Director Zhang from Chongqing Nan'an District, Vincent Li, and Leader Su online. Distinguished guests, good afternoon. It's a great pleasure to participate in the 7th International Sustainable Fur-Free Fashion Festival. I'd like to share with you the understanding in fur-free and compassionate choices. Hereby, on behalf of CBCGDF and Zhou Lifeng, Doctor and Secretary General of CBCGDF, I'd like to extend my warm welcome to all of you. And as mentioned at the COP15 Kunming International Biodiversity Conference, President Xi mentioned and proposed that biodiversity is the essence for human development and the global growth. Biodiversity serves as a foundation for our further development between man and nature. Since COVID-19, we have realized deeply that we should stay always awful to the nature and respect the laws of nature and construct a harmonious world between man and nature on the planet. CBCGDF as an association under the Central Ministry, we are engaged in the biodiversity construction to protect the different animals, including Asian elephants and other endangered species of animals. We have made a lot of efforts, and we have also proposed RGBS, human-oriented solutions, and Beacon concept. We have done this to strive for the realization of carbon central and carbon peak. And we have done all this work to deepen the consciousness of the environmental protection and to promote the for-free and compassionate choices. We call for the for-free lifestyle and consumption. This thing has become increasingly popular. For-free can protect wildlife and reduce and slow biodiversity erosion and lead the consumers to value the cost in environmental, animal, and human labor and improve our morals to protect the environment. Our association respects and supports the for-free initiative and acts to promote global action for this initiative. With all the efforts, we curb the cruel harm on animals and the virus spreading risks in the related industries. As mentioned that at the G20 summit, our association together with Outer Asia Foundation jointly called on the world to shut down the fur production farms, and this has been listed as one of the objectives for responsible consumption in SDG. In order to call for the green and low carbon sustainable development in textile industry, our association is relating to the standards for the green textile garment industry from the breeding choices and other related sectors of this industry. In terms of the carbon reduction and control of waste and wastewater, we promote our initiative in the very responsible way and protect the biodiversity and has designated all the details of the biodiversity solutions so as to promote the consolidating and the sustainable development and transformation of the green textile industry. This event is related to the carbon peak and carbon centralization. For free, the initiative can protect wildlife and bring about compassionate choices and reduce the epidemic that can happen to humans and animals, reduce carbon footprints, so as to realize our objectives to reduce carbon. And in September 2019, we published the carbon standards evaluation for industries. We invited the Ministry of the Environment and related associations and representatives in the industry. We evaluated the scientific indicators of the standards and launched the optimal standards so as to realize the carbon peak and carbon centralization. And the standards are also, with the standards, we also evaluated the environmental influence indicators on the Qinghai and Tibetan Plateau. And together under the COP15 in Kunming, all these actions have promoted our green development in related industries, and we hope that we can formulate effective post-2020 framework for the biodiversity so as to slow the biodiversity disruption. Now it is time for China to take actions to protect biodiversity, and together with the world, we hope we can engage in more activities to protect biodiversity and green development. Right now, we are here in Chongqing at the 7th International Sustainable Free Fashion Festival, and we synergize our energy and ideas for compassionate choices and reduce fashionable side effects for humans and animals and support SDG development. We hope that together we can realize free and treat animals in a friendly way and engage in compassionate choices so as to promote compassionate choices and protect biodiversity and reduce carbon emission and build a better world for our planet. And in conclusion, I sincerely wish this event a full success. Thank you for your remarks. Next, we would like to share with you, and today's seventh festival, we have three major events, as Vincent Li Jin and our Deputy Secretary have mentioned. And we have an art exhibition, and in 1 month we have the free day and our market, free market. And today's thing is compassionate choices, and today is also the compassion in fashion forum. For the next half session, we have the compassionate choices topic. As just now, we have listened to the speeches of Vincent Li and Deputy Secretary Xiao. From the carbon centralization and carbon pink, these are the carbon indicators. And for consumers, how can we realize the most helpful way to protect the environment? So today, in terms of consumption, as we pursue beauty, there are two items we would like to buy. Besides garments, clothing, the other is cosmetics. And you value this part, right? And now let's welcome our next speaker from sector-led cosmetics UK China Business Environment Programs British Standards Institution, Adele Ren. Good afternoon, everyone. Distinguished guests, leaders, good afternoon. My name is Adele Ren, and today's topic is beauty without cruelty. I'm so eager to report to you on this topic. During the introduction, I'd like to thank Act Asia to invite me here in Chongqing to participate in this forum. My focus on cosmetics is in the regulations and especially the regulatory background. I would like to introduce to you from this side how China is going to go for the low animal laboratory and testing, and what actions and cooperation have been taken between China and UK on this side.
And as we all know, in China, our laws and regulation, it actually guides all markets' growth and development. And in order to achieve the target of animal testing free, we have to start with laws and regulation. In the past 1 year, the cosmetics industry and the market in China have undergone a huge change because the laws and the regulation in China have changed for cosmetics. So I would like to start from that to talk about these laws and regulatory changes as a background. Since 1990 to last year, all these 30 years, the cosmetics in China have been regulated by these regulations concerning the hygiene supervision over cosmetics. And as our economy develops so fast, as science and R&D develop so fast, and cosmetic industry and market have undergone drastic changes over the past 3 decades, and Chinese consumers got more options to choose from the cosmetics cabinets, and how are they tested to be safe? And our need for animal testing, has it actually gone up because of so many new cosmetics released into the market? Well, the laws and the regulation actually made an update, not only to adapt to the market, but also to be staying ahead of what's coming next. So according to the NMPA, National Medical Products Administration, they have actually published a new regulation for supervision and administration of cosmetics, and it started to went into effect in January the 1st of this year, which have made a lot of new updates and reforms. When we are speaking about cosmetics, what are we actually being referring to? According to the NMPA, the definition of cosmetics have been further cleared. Well, according to this definition, cosmetics are referred to daily chemical products which are intended to be applied to human skin, hair, nails, etc. It's also the first time to include toothpaste into the category of cosmetics. And there are different categories, as you could see. 9 of them are categorized as special use products in the past. But now, the categorization have been updated to be special products, with 5 of them and other new efficacy special products. And all these special products must be managed through a process of registration, which means the cosmetic company must provide the files and the materials relating to their cosmetic products to the government to be reviewed and authorized before they can be actually released into the market. But please pay attention. Before and after the change of the laws and the regulation, they all require animal testing results. It is because some of the special products would use a little bit more hazardous or possibly harmful substances, which means that they have to undergo animal tests to make sure that it's safe for human beings. And for those non-special use products in the past 3 decades, now the categorization have changed to general products. It requires notification process management, which means after they file their registration application, they don't have to wait for the authorization of the government before they can push the product into the market. The government will continue to review it, and if there are anything else with the materials submitted by the company, they're going to take certain measures to that company. The new CSAR is actually a high-level laws and regulation. It actually needs the supporting regulations to further clear out those detailed parameters. So I have listed here these things that are related to the CSAR in terms of product safety, labeling, ingredients, claims, and manufacturing. I would like to specially mention about the administrative measures for cosmetics registration and the notification dossiers. This notification process is the first thing ever for cosmetics in China to avoid animal tests, but it gives 2 prerequisites. You must comply. Well, the manufacturing nation of the cosmetics, the government there must provide the quality assurance to make sure this cosmetics is up to their national standard. Secondly, the prerequisite is that there must be safety assessment data to support the safety of the cosmetics. That's why it's also related to safety. And there's another file, technical guidelines for cosmetics safety assessment, so that our file and standard is closer to that of the European Union and more strict and cautious. And in terms of ingredients management, we have a cosmetics ingredients catalog, which used to contain 8,730 ingredients, and now updated 8,792 ingredients, and it's going to continue to be updated. Why this is important? Because only when cosmetic companies are using cosmetic products within ingredients within this catalog, they can be exempted from animal tests. And now let me talk about that removal of mandatory animal testing. Well, first of all, why this is important, the removal of animal testing mandatory? Well, because it's not only harms the animal, but also causes trade barriers. Because in 1959, two British scientists proposed the 3Rs principle for animal testing, which are replacement, reduction, and refinement, which means we must try our best to avoid animal testing. And even if we must use it, we must refine the process to maintain animal welfare that are necessary. And according to the 2004 and 2009 European Council Cosmetics Directive, they have prohibited animal testing for finished products and ingredients, respectively. Since March 2013, cosmetics regulation have prohibited animal-tested products from being sold in the EU markets. However, that is contradictory to our national cosmetics. Well, there's also different regulations for imported and domestic special cosmetics. Domestic special cosmetics requires animal testing data to assure safety and efficacy of products, while domestic non-special ones must be built with ingredients within the catalog. And imported cosmetics must be required to submit animal testing data from their finished products. So those are the contradictories between Chinese laws and regulations against the Europeans. Of course, this is not only trade barriers for the European companies and brands, but I paid more attention to the collaboration between China and Britain. And I'm just using this as an example. Because of this animal test thing, they have barrier in getting access to Chinese market. Many greener brands, because of such ethical issues, they cannot get into the Chinese market. And in order to make a product with formulas only containing ingredients within the catalog, they have to change their existing cosmetic formula. And for some other companies, in order to avoid animal tests, they must pay extra contract manufacturers in China to do that animal testing in order to pass the regulation to be listed here in the Chinese market. And against that backdrop, we started the UK-China collaboration. The UK, even till now, still follows the EU rules for cosmetic products. Even after Brexit, they have their own laws and regulations apart from administrative files and requirements, but generally they followed the same step as the EU. And we had a collaboration between UK and China since 2015, an MOU, Memorandum of Understanding. And since 2015, the UK government Prosperity Fund had been supporting this collaboration, which facilitated many bilateral visits and exchanges, also involved partners and stakeholders in the EU and other countries. And here I have listed a few of those activities and events related under this bigger umbrella. Some are related to lab animal welfare and ethical use. Some are related to the safety assessment for cosmetics, or the institutional exchange about animal welfare. So after all these collaborations, we have now gained the animal testing exemption under CSAR with those prerequisites. As I have already mentioned, the safety assessment requirements and government manufacturing certification for quality. This is the part where UK government is actually contacting the Chinese government. It's a big problem for the overseas government. They only make the rules or standards, but they do not take the responsibility to certify for such things, whether it actually meets the standards or not. The companies overseas are actually the main entity taking that responsibility. They should be the one to be held accountable for meeting the standards. This is more like an industrial thing. Some standardization organization should give that certification. So this is not very much in accordance with what was required by the Chinese new law and regulation. Because according to our laws and regulation, if some cosmetic products is to be manufactured in the UK, we need their UK government's certification in order to be exempted from animal testing. And currently, they are further negotiating it. And on the right side, you could see I also put that in a red circle, improved and specified the technical requirements for safety assessment. Even till now, the China, UK, and the EU are collaborating on cosmetics safety, including the comparison study between China's new safety assessment technical guidelines and the EU safety evaluation standards, or introducing OECD alternative testing methods in order to avoid further use of lab animals testing in China. And there are further safety assessment trainings and dossiers evaluation trainings, etc., so that we could improve the mutual understanding between China and the international community on the Chinese and EU safety assessment standards. So after all those being told, for us consumers, what actually means by cruelty-free cosmetics? Well, it means we can enjoy better and safer products, because after our scientific research, we found that animal testing is not the most precise or effective approach to test for the safety of the products, because animals react to those chemical substances differently than human beings. In many cases, they cannot fully represent the safety features of those products. Another thing is that with scientific development, many countries, including China, have already developed alternative testing methods and other scientific innovations that are available, or with computer sciences, which could validate the safety of those cosmetic products. Many agencies and institutions in China and overseas countries are making innovations to do such things. We do not need animal testings anymore. And the industries have been more advanced, and the detailed technical guidelines have been proven to be useful to guide their assessment and operations. And after eliminating that trade barrier caused by animal testing issues, we can have more diverse choices, because we get friendlier market accesses, and the overseas business could enter our market. We get better choices. And for the Chinese cosmetic products manufacturers could also get more opportunities for innovation and export. And there are more international trades and cooperation opportunities as well. And one of the most important thing about animal testing-free cosmetic products is about less cruelty, because when we used to have mandatory laboratory animal testing for cosmetic products, we are using those laboratory animals on a very large quantity for ingredients and cosmetic final products. But with the new laws and the regulations, we can further reduce that to a very large quantity and give them less pain, less harm, and less death. And more importantly, after reducing the size of that market, we can reduce the demand and the amount of waste for laboratory animals. The new cosmetic laws and the regulation is a very actually up-moving and very motivating thing for all of us, so that we can get better and safer cosmetic products with less cruelty to our animals. That's all. Thank you. Thank you, Adele. I think when we were listening to her speech, it's a mere opening. A lot of the things that we are used to for the past decades, actually they have been buried under a lot of new possibilities. And as we all work together, we can actually make a brighter future with more options for all of us that are safer and greener. Of course, this requires a lot of the research institutions to work together. We have to thank all those people working alongside this path. And just now, as we have heard, when we go deeper back into the ingredients and materials, we can make new choices. And as long as we choose those less harm or harm-free ways, we can select the better products in the market. Now, let's give the floor to Elaine Xu from Material Innovative Initiative to join us from online. What are the consumer trends to the future in terms of sustainable development? Elaine, please.
Hi everyone, I'm Elaine Siu from the Material Innovation Initiative. Thank you so much for having me. So I'll just dive directly into this topic. I think the team is sharing this slides for me, so I'll wait for the slide to be up. Great. Hi, so we're the Material Innovation Initiative. Next slide, please. I'm going to talk a little bit about what we do and what we call next-gen materials. Next slide, please. So MII is a nonprofit, and we are here to accelerate the development of next-gen materials. And these are high-performance, animal-free, and more sustainable materials. They are typically used in the fashion, automotive, and home goods industries. The way that we do this is by identifying and assessing innovative materials and technologies. We do it by spurring investments, research, and development to scale innovations. And we also partner with brands, retailers, and suppliers to get sustainable materials to market. So the stakeholders in the industry that we work with include scientists, entrepreneurs, investors, material companies, and brands. Next slide, please. So what are next-gen materials? The way that we define this is that they are materials that are livestock free. So they don't come from the animal agriculture industry. And these are direct replacements for conventional animal-based leather, silk, down, fur, wool, and exotic skins. These replacement materials use a variety of biomimicry approaches to replicate their animal-based counterparts. Next slide, please. So these are some of the examples that you might have seen in the market. For instance, Bow Threads, they make alternative leather, and you can see a collaboration with Stella McCartney. On the right, you can see Pangaia's flower down. So this is down, but made from flower. Next slide, please. I won't go through this in detail, but this is the categorization of next-gen materials. Basically, it is that there are many different main inputs that can go into these materials. The common thing here is that they don't come from the animal agriculture industry. So these input can be plant-derived, can be mycelium, can be cultured animal cells, but they don't come from the livestock industry. Next slide, please. So in my presentation, I'm going to focus on a consumer study, actually 2 consumer studies that we did. Next slide, please. So we worked with a consultancy firm on consumer perspectives on next-gen bio-based materials. We did a study on US consumers, and then we also did a study on China consumers. Next slide, please. So we did the US study in 2019 and got some very encouraging results, which is that 55% of US consumers actually prefer next-gen leather, so leather that are not from animals. So this study is basically focused on leather only. We did another follow-up study on China consumers in 2021, this year. And the result is even more encouraging. The answers are that 90% of China consumers actually prefer next-gen leather. Next slide, please. So here we dive deeper into, these are the data we collected from Chinese consumers. So the people who said that they prefer animal leather, there are four main reasons. One is personal preference. Two is appreciation for quality and craftsmanship. Three is their skepticism of new products. Four is the assurance of safety and credibility from conventional products. Next slide, please. And then we look at the reasons for people who prefer alternative leather, next-gen leather that are not from animals. And there are five main reasons for it. One is environmental protection. Two is animal protection. Three, innovation. Four, affordability. Five, fashion and aesthetics. Next slide, please. So it's all good to say that you prefer something. We also look deeper into what is the likelihood of these consumers actually purchasing next-gen leather. Again, the result is very, very promising. 45% said that they are very or extremely likely to purchase next-gen leather, with the other 49% actually saying they're somewhat or moderately likely to purchase next-gen leather. Next slide, please. So looking into the attributes, like what do consumers actually look at when they are considering whether to make a purchase? Overwhelmingly, so if you look at the green bar and the purple bar, this is the early adopters as well as the general populations. But in these two categories, very similarly, the two top attributes that people look at are quality and price. And that is why we think innovation is so important, to make materials, to make next-gen materials that are really good in quality and really competitive in price. Next slide, please. So how much are people willing to pay for next-gen leather? Again, we looked at the early adopters, those who are more enthusiastic, who are likely to be willing to pay a little bit more, and the general population. The results are actually quite similar. So 52% of the early adopters and 48% from general population are willing to pay slightly higher for next-gen leather. Next slide, please. So you can see the study and the full report from our website, which is materialinnovation.org. But basically what we got, like the conclusion from this preliminary study, is that there's a very high degree of acceptance in next-gen leather. And we kind of assume that it may cross over to other next-gen materials as well. The barrier mainly is quality and unfamiliarity. And the driver for purchasing these materials is altruistic benefits. Also, finally, that people are open to paying a little bit more for these materials, at least in the beginning. Next slide, please. So I want to go through very quickly trends that we're seeing in next-gen material innovation. Next slide, please. We have another report that looked at next-gen materials as a new emerging industry, and we have data like this. Again, you can go into our website to get this full report for free. The companies that are engaging in next-gen material innovation have doubled. The number of companies have doubled since 2014. Next slide, please. And the investment money from venture capital that's going into this new industry, again, has more than doubled, like year on year. The last bar is only until mid 2021. So it's very likely that 2021 is going to surpass 2020 in terms of investment capital. Next slide, please. So we are very enthusiastic about this. I personally have been engaged in working in the alternative protein industry as well. We're seeing a lot of parallels between these two new industries. Back in 2016, this is the landscape, the industry landscape of alternative meat, the number of main players. Next slide, please. 3 years later, this is the alternative protein space. So it has accelerated. The growth was unimaginable. That's why I'm very excited to be now in next gen materials, which is basically 5 or 10 years behind what alternative protein is. And next slide, please. This is our projection of how the next gen material industry is going to grow up to a 2.2 billion industry by 2026. Next slide, please. So as mentioned before, I'm going through a lot of data very quickly. You can see a lot of different reports, including the consumer study, as well as the industry study that I mentioned just now on our website, which is materialinnovation.org, and you can download all these reports for free. We're here to build the industry together for a better future. So yeah, next slide, please. Thank you very much for having me, and I'll see you again in the Q&A session.
Thank you, Elaine.
Thank you.
Thank you. 在刚刚的分享里面，其实我们一直很
In the sharing, we hope that there is one thing can attract your attention. When we conduct a consumer study, back in 2019, we conducted the consumer study before COVID-19. Many people would like to support for free, and we ask for their further understanding of this for free, or if they have ever chosen this product, but the answer is no. In the follow-up questionnaire, maybe sometimes we choose the product. So in the future, we hope that we can better identify the source products. And through the presentation, we have a better understanding of the next generation material industry. You should have more confidence in your chosen products. Never worry about it's happening by accidents or it's only a new item. But I want to ensure you that in the future, there will be more such products coming into the market. And our next speaker will address us, and she will also address us in the perspective of consumption behavior and regulation. For the next generation industry development, what new choices can we have? Now let's give floor to Karen Du. Hello, everyone. I'm from RISE, Sustainable Fashion Laboratory. I'm also engaged in the sustainable fashion in Shanghai. Our team focuses on sustainable fashion. And our team mainly works in Shanghai in the fashion industry to promote the fashion and sustainable growth of both fashion and consumption. I'm so delighted to get invited. There are two special things about this event. This is my first time besides Shanghai to talk about sustainable fashion formally with all of you. Besides this, in the past, we want to make sustainable fashion more environmental friendly. Today is a good occasion to talk about what represents sustainable fashion. It's closely relating to animals. When we talk about sustainability, can you answer what it is? Can anyone know what these boxes, what these pictures represent? Actually, it's 17 SDG, and it has 196 objectives, sub-objectives. And that represents what sustainability is. There are 196 sub-objectives with 70 major goals. It's a big issue for sustainable development. The WISE Fashion Laboratory represents rational, inclusive, smart, and eco-friendly. We want to push the fashion industry more fashionable, inclusive, and environmental friendly. Many people ask me that there are so many industries, why do you have to choose a fashion industry? Actually, we are in Shanghai, a metropolis, and my major is in cosmetics. I have known it for quite some time that textile industry affects ecology in the globe. As a global supply chain and industrial chain, it produces a lot of carbon dioxide and greenhouse gas emission. Many people have talked about global warming and extremities in the globe. For example, the windstorm in Zhengzhou this year and the heat wave in China. This is also the consequences of the environmental pollution. And textile industry and the fashion industry accounts for number 2 worst polluted industry, only next to petroleum industry in the world. We wear garments. A lot of materials of garments and clothing come from petroleum. Maybe you haven't noticed that during the processing of this clothing, or even each time we wash our clothes, it produces microplastic elements into our ocean. If we do not value the material choice during production and consumption, it would lead to more microplastic elements into ocean. Maybe by 2050, the weight of plastics will be over the weight of humans. Back in the past, a lot of fast fashion are in our life. We don't have to consume so many clothes. It's overconsumption. We are influenced by media, what the popular trend is, what clothes in fashion we should choose. And as a result, we have bought a lot of clothes that we don't actually need. And these clothes cannot be recycled and reused. And these issues make us wonder. We want to influence our industry. The petroleum industry, we are cooperating a lot with the industrial parks. We want to reduce the carbon emission and the waste pollution in our textile industry. We choose the sustainable fashion in our industry. I would like to introduce you Impact Hub. Impact Hub was founded in London in 2005, and it's the largest platform for social innovation and sustainable development. It came to Shanghai in 2014 and is the only one in China. And we focus on sustainable consumption, material innovation, and recycling economy. Our past work and COVID-19 have led us to rethink the relationship between man and nature, and we launched WISE Laboratory to think about the sustainable fashion. Our objective is to promote positive interaction along the value chain and accelerate sustainable fashion change. The path is from the consumers. We encourage consumers in this orientation with many platforms and with more insights for them to move forward just through and to sustainable fashion. And this is also a study published by us entitled Sustainable Fashion Consumers in China Behavioral Mapping. In Glasgow, in UK, in October, we will also participate in the Climate Change Conference in UK. And we will influence and tell the participants how the Chinese consumers view this topic. And I would like to share with you the 10 points of views in this report. But for the complete report, you may download it from the official website after we come back from that conference. And we have over 2.4K consumers interviewed. And this is our report result. We have done in-depth questionnaires and study. And we found that sustainable fashion consumers mainly come from first-tier cities, aging 13 to 40, high income, and with a higher education, gender. In women, they focus on this topic more. And this is quite similar with other studies. And our first point of view from this report, as Kayla mentioned in the first part, we are promoting sustainable fashion. It's like moving forward in fog. The Chinese consumers have been more conscientious of their consumption behavior influence in moral requirements and egoism and hedonism influence. I believe it's quite normal for this transition because we want to be more environmental friendly and consider more on the influence of the nature and animals. But when we consider consumption, we hope that this product can match our needs in terms of the price and performance. Maybe we do not consider too much from the environmental perspective. Tina has also mentioned that consumers would like to say they would like to buy this kind of a product. We found that 90% of consumers would like to buy the sustainable fashion products, but only 50% of the consumers actually buy them. I don't know whether you have bought these kind of products. Could you raise your hands if you have bought such products? And this is quite similar to the results of our study. And we found that 45% of the consumers do not know whether they have actually bought this kind of products. They have no idea whether they have bought kind of those products. So for the purchasing of sustainable fashion products, consumers, on the one hand, they should reject fashion, fast fashion, and on the other hand, I think they should focus more on the cost performance.
And apart from that, we also have defined a new concept called sustainable fashion awareness. And we surveyed our consumers to find out their ratings for this according to their different age groups and their different cognition of their awareness in terms of sustainable development fashion. And let's focus on the cognitive aspect of sustainable development. And one thing very interesting is that we found a younger generation in China, those 20 and under, highly recognize the value of environmental protection. They believe they should do everything in their life with the awareness of environmental protection. So please note, here's a difference: environmental friendly and sustainable. These are two different concepts to them. Well, they have recognized something to be more environmental friendly, yet not so much about whether it's sustainable or not. So they still need further education. And apart from that, we found that these people, their understanding about the fashion industry's issues in terms of sustainable development is on the low side. They do not know much whether the fashion industry have been contributing to the harm to the environment. Yet the elderly group have thought about it more. And indeed, we found that those relatively older people as consumers would have a stronger willingness to buy the sustainable development. And this is very much different than in the United States or Western countries. You heard that in their countries, Generation Z, those post 2000, the younger people are more willing to buy. But in China, it may not be the truth. And we found that they have another misunderstanding. Many of them thought they understand sustainable development, but actually it actually takes a lot of terms and jargons to understand it. So when we ask them about those terms, what materials are actually sustainable? How about the product life cycle? The consumers would obviously give us answers that obviously they do not understand about sustainability. So as our industry's partners and the brand owners, how should they communicate that to the consumers in a better way? This is worth our pondering. And our finding 4, what actually are expected by the consumers more? Well, this is quite interesting as well, because in many cases, when the brands are launching sustainable development, they put sustainability as a selling point, telling the consumers that this is environmental friendly and animal friendly, but the consumers are sometimes very savvy and very rational. When buying a sustainable fashion product, they're buying a piece of clothes, a bag, or a pair of shoes. So the design or the function of that product itself is the prerequisite, while sustainable or not is merely accessory on the basis of that. Our finding 5 is that as consumers get older, their focus on fashion products shifts. Below 30, they care about price and design, and above 30, they care about material and designs. So different age group of people have different focus points as well. Finding 6, quite important as well. What are the sustainable features they care about? Effect to environment, to human laborers, to animals, etc. We found one thing very interesting, that people below 30, well, they really care about fairness, whether the human labor who are working on the production line have been receiving their deserved payment, and whether they have been treated with the better conditions that they are needed. I think this is related to their education and politics influences that they have received. Another finding is on their focus about materials. Apart from those products that we can buy from China, a lot of are claimed to have natural products, cotton and wool, etc. But do we know that actually cotton is not a very environmental friendly product, because it takes a lot of water and chemical substances to pollute the soil and the water to grow the cotton flowers itself, let alone the process of making cotton flowers into cotton products. And there aren't many standards internationally to define it, to balance and to assess whether a material is environmental friendly or eco-friendly. The consumers do not have such a scale by themselves as well. But probably we have all bought those electrical appliances with those indexes placed on it as a label. We all know how much energy can it save, level 1 or level 5, but not for the fashion industry yet. Another thing is finding 8. misinformation communication. What information actually the consumers want to receive? Well, they wanted to receive information from online and offline, both from WeChat or from the WeChat public company account or from the local brick and mortar stores, as well as the sales clerk's introduction. Another finding number 9, marketing and promotion often do not have its effect to consumers, because for those consumers who care about sustainable development, they are relatively more rational and mature. So those bloggers or web celebrities just doesn't move those consumers anymore, because as long as they see those blogs or posts who's still indulged in buying and consumerism, all the things, and those consumers who actually will buy sustainable developments, they do not trust much of those web celebrities and the bloggers. So it's a different thing in order to move them. And as we all know, that we lack of enough and transparent information and communication. We do not have enough comprehensive platforms to do so. We have a lot of myths as consumers. Well, I wanted to support sustainable development product, but where can I buy it? And what products are sustainable products? We all have that question in our head. And according to what we have found from our survey last year, or this year, actually, in June the 18th, we had the first sustainable consumption decision guidance platform in China called Re-Rise. It basically serves like a Chinese version of sustainable Groupon. Or it gives you that sustainable property of certain product, and it gives you those perspectives for you to search. We have those main functions in the version 1 of this platform. You can directly search for the sustainable brands and products that are available in the Chinese market. We have now found 571 pieces of clothes and bags and pairs of shoes available in the Chinese market. And then we have worked with many industry experts to develop a professional assessment system to tell people from which perspectives can you be able to understand whether a product is sustainable or not. We hope to help you more. And there's quite a lot of terms and jargons related to sustainable development. So that's why we have a sustainability Wikipedia here. And in terms of sustainability evaluation criteria, we have worked together with Tsinghua University, Peking University, and industry associations. And we defined 5 aspects to cover animal welfare, environmental friendliness, and whether they have a responsible operational method, whether they pay attention to the labor welfares, whether that brand actually brings value into the long-term usage of their product, and as well as the recyclability of those products. And it also includes the marketing message, whether it gives that positive and a long-term responsible, sustainable message. And as we all know, we are about to have the Double 11 Online Shopping Festival. So let's vote with our own actions. Think about the influence of each consumption behaviors, because each thing we buy with our real money is actually a voting ticket for the world we want with our own purchases. So let's make those decisions more carefully and turn our planet into a better place. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And this is quite similar to what we have felt. And as Karen have mentioned, we are very much having the need or the desire to support sustainable products, yet we don't know how we lack of a standard, whether I will be able to define and differentiate the sustainable ones from the non-sustainable ones. It's not as clear as we buy foods or electrical appliances as well. And as many of the previous speakers are telling us, we are all working from different perspectives for a better world. Karen now give us this new platform, Rewrite, so that you can search for sustainable products and the solutions. And right now, just like at the life care education concept system from Asia, we call for all of you to respect human beings, animals, and environment. In the past, when you think about a product, you think about its environmental friendliness, but in the future, we can think more about its multiple perspectives. How about the materials and ingredients that are used when manufacturing it? Does it harm the animals, exploiting animals during its manufacturing or not? These are the things can help us to make better decisions. All right, now we're going to give the floor to Ms. Chen Danqi, because according to our 2019 survey, 80% of those people said, I want to buy more things to support sustainable products. This is actually a contradiction between human nature and our needs. So if we really have to buy something, what should we buy? This is why ActAsia have been promoting the FFR for brands in both home and abroad. We want more brands to join this FFR initiative, in which already 1,500 brands, such as Kering Group and Prada, and the designer brands such as Stella McCartney have joined. And in China, there are quite a lot of them as well. The Generation Z brands founded by designers have joined it as well. Let's now invite one of them, Danqi 10, Chen Danqi, to tell us what can be bought with assurance. Thank you. Thank you, Kayla. It's my great pleasure to be invited here today to introduce to you what we have been doing with our Danqi 10 brands in the past years. Our focus direction is sustainable design. Our brand was founded by the end of 2019. And our brand was founded by the end of 2019, and we wanted to bear the designing concept of being relaxed and cheerful and natural. Today, I'm wearing a new piece from that, and also from animal-free leather-made pair of shoes. Everything we make, we hope it to be sustainable. Well, sustainability in my eyes means the connection between human and nature, the inheritance of arts and handicrafts, and the bridge for cooperation between designers and the supply chains. It combines artistry and functionalities together. In the past quarters, our quarterly design, we have used 60% of acetic acid to make the recycled polyester rPET lining and accessories. And on the right side, you could see the recycled polyester rPET gown dress. We're also using such Angel PLA corn fiber, which is the degradable fabric, as well as the rPET yarn, which saves around 6 tons of petrol oil with every ton of finished yarn. And it reduces from the origin of carbon emission. And on the right side, you see that Chinese stand-up collar jacket, which doesn't produce toxic gas when being burnt. And through our special pattern design, it ensured the beauty and comfort of clothes, but also the efficiency in manufacturing. In our package of our products, we also tried our best. For example, here you could see this is what we have designed to be the tag attached to our clothes, which combines a bookmark and a paperback together to make sure that sustainability is really in every bit of detail of our life. And with that seed being hidden in a bag, you can actually grow that plant. It's not going to be a plant that makes dogs or cats allergic to it, doesn't generate any harm to them. And through our modularized design, we simplified the production of our materials and the transportation and assembly of it. The package itself is the exhibition itself. This is our exhibition artistic piece called Reform, which was made from industrial aluminum tube and waste cables. It's made of recycled paper and environmental protected, environmental friendly boards. And in the Shanghai Fashion Week this year, we were listed in the top 16 of Reprise and won the Sustainable Development Special Creativity Award. And inspired by the growing and plantation of grapes, we have designed an environmental friendly wine bag for Remy Martin. And here's another example, the virtual idol Alice. I believe virtual idols could be very useful in communicating through different forms, such as songs and arts, and it also reduces a lot of human labors. And we have developed a sustainability promotion equipment together with Ideate. And together with Yujia Insta in Shanghai, we have launched a new initiative called the Covered City. As we know that the cities are covered with a lot of wrapped in many debris and wastes from constructions, but there's quite a lot of conceptual expansions and extensions that we could do to engage people in thinking about sustainability and think about those things hidden behind all these phenomena on the surface. And to the earlier times of this year, we have the Dongxi 10 first debut at Shanghai Fashion Week, which uses the topic of inflation through the circulation of colors and a flowing shape, see everything as in a circle. And here is what you see. We used our acetic acid to make our environmental friendly piece of clothes. And here's a few more pictures taken from those shows that we have participated in. And why sustainable and fur-free will be the need of future consumers? Well, my personal understanding of it is that a fashion industry, as we have previously heard from the speakers, it's actually an industry polluting the environment a lot. And the manufacturing of materials and the clothes also would emit a lot of pollutants, and there could be animal cruelty or even affect human health. And as the new future leaders of the fashion industries and the young market, we must lead the entire industry towards a sustainable and a fur-free future. We do not want to sacrifice the nature or other lives to create beauty.
This year, we have the honor to participate in FFR. We hope that in the upcoming products, including clothing and garments, we will engage no animals. We will be fur-free. We value sustainability and environmental protection. We want to use the fur-free materials to make beautiful garments and clothing, and we want to call on the consumers and the people around us to participate in the things that will benefit the environment protection. This is also the jacket and the dress we made with the fur-free materials. That's all for my presentation. If you're interested, you may follow us through the QR code on Weibo and other media. And please stay on the stage. I believe that you have witnessed many nice products and fashionable choices during the presentation. That's also a solution for us to choose the favorite products. And some of the sharing may have some enlightening points to you. And now we are entering the QR part. We will give floor to Zhong Dao to host the Q&A part from the School of Design and Technology and London College of Fashion. We will also welcome Dan to participate in this part. And Dawn is also invited in this part. Hi, Eileen.
John, over to you.
Hello, thank you for inviting me to chair your panel discussion today. And joining me today is the program director at AXAsia, Dawn Peacock. It's always wonderful to be able to join this amazing forum and to hear exciting developments in free fashion and also sustainability. So my first question is for Santi. So what is sustainable material and how best choose and differentiate other non-sustainable material in daily life?
哦，好的，我们稍微有点不清楚，没关系，我们请我们的口，好，麻烦帮我们一起再一次好吗 ？Sorry, John.
Please.
Yeah.
Thank you.
If you would like to repeat the question.
Yes, yes.
So the question is, what is sustainable environmental material to you, and how best to choose and differentiate with other non-sustainable material in daily life?
那像我们品牌在使用到的，比如说
Like our brand, when we are choosing the mature products,
话筒的声音确实有点小。
there's something wrong with the microphone, sorry.
一般在使用比较
When
成
we
熟的产
are
品，
choosing the mature products, such as the fibers and acetic acid and RPET, they are quite friendly to the environment. And some laboratory materials, for example, the corn fibers and grape fibers, but they are limited in production amount. They cannot be put into mass production.
我们所有的观众、听众，
我们都可以在现场同步的听到。
Our audience can hear the Q&A part online and offline, and you may hear the translation and the interpreting during this session.
Clear? 好，我觉得刚刚在提供我们的分享当中，其实我们是会看到
During the answer,
新的面料当中，
Nancy shared with us, there are many choices in new materials and environmental friendly materials.
足够的量产给到大家。
There is a question that about the mass production, so that we can have more choices in material choice. Eileen, just now, no matter which stage, shared with us, no matter what stage we are at, in the whole industrial domain, we are embracing a promising future in this aspect.
Okay, John.
John.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What an inspiring and interesting answer. My next question is for Karen. Now, from your tracking research and advocating consumer decisions, will RISE personally track the sustainable performance of 251 products from 46 brands during the implementation phase?
我们也邀请我们在现场为大家再重复一次。
接下来的这个问题，我想问一下大家，问一下在台上的两位，就是说
He's interpreting the question.
在您之前的这个研究过程
During the
中，发现
study,
什么样的
what
这些
decisions have led to the appearance of sustainable materials, and there are so many brands participate in the sustainable development. The first point is that it's quite important that the self-consciousness of the industry. The fashion industry, I believe, starts to realize during the production and the concept of a design to consumers would have influences on society and the environment. The whole industry is increasingly recognizing this importance. Compared with US and Europe, consumers focus on this topic more and more. European and US brands of fashion are following sustainable development from the social responsibility perspective. This has the whole industry influence. For example, the French government has led an initiative. A lot of brands signed the fashion convention before 2030. They will make changes for the development of the fashion industry. 250 brands include all the luxury brands, sports brands of the brands you may think of. They synergize their efforts to develop the fashion industry in a sustainable way. And the consumers focus this topic from the sustainable development perspective. The European and US consumers focus on this point when they have shows. A lot of environmentalists protest and call for sustainable fashion and environmental protection. And they reject some fashion shows to call on the consumers to buy new clothes that they don't actually need. So we call on the whole industry to change. We focus on materials choice when consumers have more understanding on the support for sustainable materials, so that this industry can develop better with more support from consumers. We found that only when consumers can support sustainable products and materials can the whole industry make solid changes.
好，我觉得我们刚刚可以听得到，在 Karen 的分享当中是。
Okay, we heard from Karen's sharing. This encourages us after the studies, after all the new materials, your encouragement and your support can make these choices more tangible.
Hello, John.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that insightful answer. My next question is for Adele. Now, how can consumers know they are making compassionate choices, and will there be any challenges?
下一个问题是问 Adele 的，消费者他们该如何知道自己做的决策是富有？How
can consumers know they are making compassionate choices, and how can they know that they are making right choices?
Thanks, John, for your question. I will answer your question in Chinese, if you don't mind. 化妆品消费者，其实刚才我觉得，我有很多跟 Karen 刚刚讲的是共鸣。
I share a lot with Karen what has said. We are in different industries. Consumers play a major part in this. In Europe and America, in UK, there is an agency. They would issue a certificate for the cosmetics industry, and there is a label called Yiping Fangli. If they have this label, this mark, then that means the materials of that cosmetics do not engage in animal testing. If there are no label or mark of on the cosmetic products, consumers may have other choices. So this is an important certification for cosmetic products in UK. And the Chinese consumers are focusing more on animal-free testing too. China hasn't had this kind of certification model, but some agencies are promoting in this orientation. Consumers, when they have a more understanding and more consciousness on this, this would promote enterprises and producers to develop in a sustainable way. And about how to make the right choices. Consumers sometimes make wrong choices for compassionate consumption. But in the future, there will be more guidances and more consumption in compassion, and consumers will focus more on animal-free testing. Yes, I agree with you. I share a lot with what Adele says. And most of the forum talk about the compassionate choices and sustainable development. Though we are not having a perfect start, we are moving in the right direction and embracing a promising future. When we are conscious of this, we can support the sustainable development of different industries and influence the people around us and make the right choices and create a more friendly environment.
Okay, thank you. And my last question is for Elaine. Now, Elaine, you had a very inspiring presentation before, and my question is, will the promotion of the next material influence the industry of traditional material? And again, are there any challenges?
这个问题要问一下 Elaine 啊，也就是说，在你看来，会不会
This question for Elaine. For the next generation materials, will they replace the old materials, or will they develop together with the old materials?
Yes. 我们现在听不到。
Okay, sorry, I'm waiting for someone to unmute me. Thank you so much for your question, John. I think as I've worked in the alternative protein industry, work in building that industry before as well, again, there are many parallels. First of all, I think changes are not going to happen overnight for sure. The animal agriculture industry is a huge, one of the biggest industries in the world. So any changes are going to be very gradual. I think to answer this question, it's probably best to go back to why we are doing this, why we're building a new industry called the next-gen material industry. It is not replacement for the sake of replacement, competition for the sake of competition. It is actually born out of a necessity because animal agriculture is one of the biggest culprits to climate change. So if we're clear on the why we need replacement and gradual changes, hopefully quicker, but like this is basically necessity for the human race. So if we're clear on the why, then we can go and discuss and think thoroughly about how this change is going to happen. And as we've seen in the alternative protein space as well, changes are happening gradually, and also we want to be very inclusive of the traditional conventional industries. A lot of the conventional players are actually seeing the opportunities, the business opportunities as well in this new industry coming about, because there are some very unsustainable practices in the conventional industry. There are certain bottlenecks that pretty much cannot be resolved. So innovation happens in any industry, and kind of that's how industry grows and evolved. And I think a lot of the conventional players in the industries are getting that as well. And so it is just a matter of being inclusive and portraying this as an opportunity as well, which is true. There are risks, but there are also opportunities in this. And the sooner that conventional industry players get into the game of innovating and getting into taking a piece of in the pie of this new industry, then everyone will be better off from this.
Thank you. Thank you. I think you're right there. There's a balance, and there's also a tipping point, and very hopeful that the traditional players out there will embrace this new change. So thank you very much. And thank you. Those are all of my questions today. Thanks for joining the panel discussion.
Thank you. 我们非常谢谢大家今天的
Thank you very much for the sharing and the Q&A session. Each and every speaker shares with us their perspectives on this topic. There are new opportunities and practices for compassionate choices. And during the process, there are a lot of shocks. We should proceed starting with a well-restored ways, why we should have more care for others, for animals, and for the whole society, for sustainability. This is related with climate change. We're on the same planet. We're all here. We're all stakeholders. Thank you very much for your participation. The speakers have that is the Generation Z. Thank you very much for your participation, and we would like to invite Jane Daly online. Thema. And we'll have an FFR new information brought by Daly. Jane Daly.
Hi, Gemma.
Hi. Hi, everyone. Hi. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Faye. Thank you, Dawn. It's amazing. It's my great honor to welcome three incredible new designers to the retailer team in China. These are young, exciting, and driven Gen Z talents who are pledging to stop using fur in their production, which is such fantastic news. And by doing so, they followed their global contemporaries who are also advocating for change in the industry, such as most recently Kering, which is now Berkeley luxury fashion group. The fur-free retailer scheme in China currently 53 brands and retailers, which join a global network of over 1,500 luxury and everyday brands that have ceased using fur. So the three designers joining today from within their own sector, and as part of one of the fashion industry's hottest new trends, emerging Chinese designers, they are pioneers, helping to send out the wider message that China's younger generations are looking towards a more sustainable, fur-free future. So firstly, I'd like to welcome Donze.
我们非常高兴
sustainable brand founded by Dan Chen and based on the concept of circularity. So congratulations and welcome Donze 10.
我们非常高兴的邀请我们东西 10丹琪是我们的东西10的主理人，还有我们的设计师上台。
Yes, designer and founder of Dongxi 10, Ms. Chen Danqi.
在2021年，我们已经邀请
Well, these are the brands that we're going to further invite into the Gen Z designer joining the FFR. And their brands will join the FFR, and it's a great thing for us to tell the story of sustainability better and exert influence to reach a wider community of younger consumers. So congratulations to Dongxi 10.
Amazing, well done. So secondly, I'd like to welcome Suja Studio, a contemporary sustainable women's wear label that creates long-lasting garments from fabrics. It's committed to high-quality natural raw materials and new environmentally friendly fabrics such as organic cotton, linen, and recycled polyester. So congratulations and a very warm welcome to Saja Studio.
的是我们从坐在这里的神秘嘉宾。
Yes, who have been sitting here, Jiang Sijia, director and designer from Suzhi Studio, to join the FFR.
And finally, I would like to welcome to you who are not here in person, but no less important, of course. Since the brand's formation, they have avoided overproduction and foregrounded the efficient use of every single inch of fabric, helping it to make design and production more sustainable. So please join me in the final welcome today to you.
我们接下来欢迎的是我们今天的第3位加入我们 FFR 的新品牌，是我们的
The third brand joining FFR, 涂月. Hi, 涂月.
一起宣布我们3
Hi, everyone.
FFR 品牌。
The 3 new FFR brands joining this initiative. Let's take a photo together, the 3 of them together. Am I blocking everyone? No? Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, 涂月.
Thank you, Gemma.
And thank you, Gemma.
Yes, please.
Yes, please, Gemma. Or not? Well, we thank you so much, Gemma, today for joining us in this part. It's an exclusive announcement for 3 of them joining our free retailer initiative. And Gemma is the features director at Jing Daily, who very much care about our designing industry in China, as well as the sustainable development in the entire nation or even the entire world. They have follow-ups and interviews very much to the in-depth level, very exclusive. And today, this session was suggested by Gemma. They have been able to see this trend. More younger designers and young generation consumers are starting to be aware of sustainable development. And the designers are being extremely proud of doing so, and they're willing to pass it on to anybody who's surrounding them. So it's a great thing for all of us to share with that optimism, and we hope to see more of young designer brands to join FFR in the future. And now back to our founder and the CEO of Acta Asia, Ms. Su Paifen. Probably she's pretty heartbroken that she cannot make it here today on site, but let's hear from her. Welcome, Pei. Can you all hear me? Yes. Okay, as we have all been hearing it all afternoon, I'm going to make this closing remarks really fast to end our session. Thank you very much. And I'd like to congratulate on the 3 young fashion designers who's been valued and recognized by the international community to join FFR. What Acta Asia has been doing recently, just like I have talked about in the very beginning, and as well as what Rihanna has talked about, Acta Asia has been making a platform for all of us to be able to promote sustainable lives for everyone. So we engage everyone we can think of, the industry stakeholders, market players, and consumers. We connect all of them together and put the right person in the right place to do things well. And after our forum, we have a tea break, which is featured with full plant-based catering. And also just now, designer Yang from Chuye also told us that in the next next batch of their new design clothes, they're going to have that fur-free tag on their clothes. This means that the designers like them are making such practices. And in November this year, we're going to have a flea market of fur-free products. And we welcome all of you to see that art exhibition, or when you are making practices of fur-free fashion or sustainable lives, you can give us all the feedbacks that you may wish to share with us through Weibo message. We start from fur-free, but with all of our speakers today have talked about an expanded portfolio of topics, including animal tests, the removal of mandatory animal tests, and UN SDG and carbon neutral. Seemingly a very large and far and remote topics. However, SDG actually includes every bit of details of our life. What we wear, where we live, what we eat, etc. Eat less meat and wear fur-free clothes and sustainable materials. That's all the practices we can make. Every bit of practice makes a great difference so that we can live a better life, a better planet for our next generation. I work in a public interest organization for 30 years in full time, and I really agree with all of you that you have said. Changes cannot be made overnight, but now we face global challenges. We are racing against ourselves, against the time. So fur-free, banning animal trade is not something that remote as before, but it's very necessary. Otherwise, it affects our human beings' health and every one of us. I hope one day Chongqing could be just like Hollywood or Los Angeles, San Francisco. We can be a city to announce entirely fur-free. Never a piece of fur is worn or sold in the entire city. China is never short of miracles. We often amaze other parts of the world, and we hope we could do that also in this regard of sustainable development to amaze everyone else in the world. Thank you all so much for joining us today. At the end of our closing remarks, I wish every one of you could join me in making this symbol for fur-free. Let's make a promise together and work together. We can all achieve fur-free fashion in the future. Thank you all. Yes, afterwards we're going to have another special session in today's agenda.
好，我们今天呢，刚刚佩提到了，其实不仅仅是在我们的
Well, as I said, today we're not only going to cover about fur-free fashion, but wish to show you a broader perspective of fur-free lifestyles. Every year, we continue to say that sustainable fashion starts with fur-free. It's not only about fur-free, but it actually can be expanded to a larger perspective. It shows you about less toxic residue in human beings' bodies when we cut down and reduce the amount and the processes of animal farming and fur farming, etc. That is a process during which animals would be receiving a lot of the cruelty and be fed into a much bigger size and a lot of farming environment which doesn't have any animal welfare, so to speak. So all of these are actually harmful things people are doing to not only the animals, but also the environment, and eventually that's going to backfire on all of us, and we do not have much time left. This is what we wanted to convey to all of you. That's the reason we start from fur-free to do sustainable fashion, but there are a lot of more steps we're going to take. So again, it's a great pleasure for all of us to gather here today. You are willing to hear us out, and you may wish to tell it to your friends and families. And we also hope our guest speakers could continue to do what they have been doing and share it together with more people, influence more people, and guide everyone to find the correct step forward. And then I would like to thank our two mysterious guests for the next session. The reason we'll be able to gather here today is because of two organizations who have been very important in terms of biodiversity and supported the development of harmonious human-nature coexistence. So let's give the floor back to Pei to announce for this special session. Pei, welcome. Yes, thank you. Thank you all. And currently the final nation, well, I'm not sure if this is the part that I was supposed to introduce. Well, actually, you missed that. Don't worry, don't worry. Well, this special session is that we're going to import Mr. Xiao and the Super Zoo to give that award. As
非常的高兴呢，我们这个驿站的一个宣布呢，是让我们重庆呢Super Zoo 呢这个单元不是一个为动物。
Civilization Korea means that this is a great thing, marking that Super Zoo is not only a place working toward this regard, but also showed how Chongqing is a city full of love and sustainable development. So anyone who's interested in cultural love and sustainable development should come to Chongqing and come to Super Zoo to have a visit. Thank you. Thank you. I could understand that. Yes, indeed, we have a very busy agenda today. And since the first of our festival to today's 7th, we got more practical along the way. In the past, we do quite a lot of information disseminations and encouragement, but today we see those fruitful results being shared. I understand you must be very much touched and moved. That's why you missed my part, right? Anyway, yes. Well, let's savor on that bit of movement and continue with what's left in our venue. We're going to have a 15-minute tea break, and afterwards we will have the Get the Picture art exhibition opening ceremony, and we have invited our guests and artists to give remarks for the opening ceremony for that art exhibition. Let's continue with that bit of touching and moving feeling. So please come back after 15 minutes of plant-based catered tea break. And remember, the gift bag we have given you, all those hand creams and sauce and foods that are all provided by our sponsor, entirely organic and animal-free. Thank you. See you in 15 minutes.